Enlighten Me, the podcast everyone is talking about, with your host, Julian, where wisdom, knowledge, and experience meet the public.
This is your host, Julian, on Enlighten Me. And today we're doing a video podcast. Hope everybody's doing well. It's sponsored by New Breed. Those looking to get fit, lose weight, build a booty, whatever it may be, go ahead and look up newbreedfit.com and we'll be good to go from there. If you have anything that you want to, jump on the podcast or anything like that, go ahead and email me at enlightenmejulian@gmail.com. We're good to go from there. So I'm going to bring y'all more content. I'm doing more reels. I actually have a Instagram now. I'll be posting little reels and all that good jazz to get more, views and fame, they say. But let's go ahead and do this podcast. How you doing, Lana?
Good, and yourself?
I'm blessed. It's been a while. You've done a podcast with me before.
Yes, actually, me and my husband, we did one. Well, I jump in while you were doing a podcast with him.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You remember what podcast that was?
Man, that was like a long time ago, but I think we were talking about relationships.
Ooh, and now we're doing this one. This is,
I
guess we can name it Why My Wife Won't. I don't know. Why my
I was
wife
like,
won't.
she's not that into you anymore. Because it's kind of sketchy, man.
Okay, so break down this wild story, please.
All right. So, as you know, I moved back home
Yeah.
to the Fort Bliss, El Paso area. And of course, I have like run into plenty of acquaintances and people that I actually could call a friend. Well, I ran into one of my friends, and he actually has listened to your podcast, and he's probably gonna kill me when he hears this, but it's just that it's an interesting topic.
It definitely
He
is.
asked me what I went for school for. I got my bachelor's actually in May of 2023 in psychology. And then I just finished my master's in January of mental health and wellness. And when he asked me what I did, I told him, and he's like, oh. And I'm all like, no, I cannot read your mind, okay? I'm like, I'm not psychic. I could just give advice. And of course, all the fucked ups I've done before in my life, that's my advice because I have experience on it. And he was like, okay. He's like, you know what? He's like, I'm just going to be straight up with you. He's like, because I know you are extremely blunt. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, just don't get butthurt when I tell you the truth.
Yeah, of course.
Well, he told me that, well, first he asked me, he's like, hey, he's like, I know you say you have been with your husband for like 12 years. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, you guys have 2 kids. And I'm like, okay. He's like, how is your sex life? And
That's
of course,
pretty,
I'm like,
yeah, that's pretty.
it was. And I'm just like looking at him like, first of all, mind your own business.
That's what I say.
Second of all, the psychology part, I'm like, on myself, I'm like, okay, what is your question? Because I know this is going somewhere. Well, he asked me, he's like, do you ever say no to your husband? And I'm just like, no, as in what? And he's like, well, no, as in you don't want to have sex. And I'm like, no. I was like, that is not a problem in our household. I never get headaches. I never make an excuse.
Yeah.
And I told my husband, I was like, babe, I was like, I'm gonna be honest. He's like, it's all right. He's like, Julian knows us, so it's all good. I'm like, okay. Well, he then proceeds to tell me, he's like, okay, he's like, I need your advice. He's like, I guess he said, like, as a professional in a way. And I'm like, okay, go ahead. He was telling me that his wife can go up to a year without them having sex.
Up to a year without them having sex.
Yeah.
Like no initiate, no small sex, no
Nothing.
high school fingering and nothing like that. Nothing like that.
Nope.
No.
Nothing.
No.
He says it's like sometimes it's like to be honest, he's like it's gonna sound ugly. He's like because like she's my wife, of course, and the mother of my kids. But sometimes I feel like it's just like petty sex, what she gives me, because I'm there pretty much begging her for us to have intimacy.
So she's like a fish.
Pretty much. And I'm just like, well, that's boring. So I asked him, I was like, hey, okay. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, there could be many reasons. I was like, there's like 3 top reasons, which is physical and mental like health issues,
Yeah.
maybe like relationship issues in their marriage, and of course lifestyle, which is like work and any extra hobbies that they have outside of being parents and of course husband and wife. And he's like, well, he's like no, he's like, I communicate with her. He's like, I take her out on dates, I buy her flowers, I make sure she has a special day like on every day. He's like, just not Mother's Day or her birthday or anniversary. He's like, I make sure that she knows that I love her and I appreciate her as my wife and the mother of my kids. So I'm like, okay. I was like, well, I'm like, it's good to keep on flirting with your spouse, of course, and making sure that you have those small, like little gestures. And I asked him, it's like when like his youngest, I think is probably like 8. And I
Yeah.
told him, I was like, you know what? I was like, postpartum depression is not always right away after having a kid. Sometimes it's like you just have a baby, and since they have an older child, she's on like I have to take care of everything mode. And now that her child is like a little bit more independent, of course,
Yeah.
it's like probably hitting her. So he's like, well, he's like, I don't know. He's like, I've asked her. He's like, I make sure like I pay attention to the signs of that. And I was like, okay. I was like, does she work? I'm like, or does she stay home with the kids? I was like, because I've been on both sides and it can be tough.
Oh, definitely.
She does, yeah. So she does work, but it's like he eventually like trusted me more with like things of saying she doesn't really cook. She always like just comes home and expects me to do everything. He's like, which I do not mind because it's like both our home, there are kids. We're a 50-50 on everything kind of thing.
How long have they been married?
Oh my goodness, they've been together since I think they were both 21.
And then how are they now?
They are 33, 34.
Okay, so about math is not mathing. That's a
Yeah,
good
like a
amount of
12
time. Was
year.
she doing all these things prior to, or
That's what I asked him, and he's like, "Well, like it was not as much as before." So like I told him I was like, "Look, I was like, do you want me to be straightforward with you?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And I'm like, "Okay, like she might have someone else."
I mean,
Like,
here we go.
and he's like, "No." He's like, "I don't think so." And I'm like, "Dude," I'm like, "Look." I was like, "When a woman does not want to sleep with her own husband, it's either one, she no longer loves him and she's just pretty much kind of like in the roommate phase,
Yeah.
or two, she has someone else." And
Yeah.
I asked him, I was like, have you ever cheated on her due to this? He did admit that he cheated on her and eventually she cheated on him. So I was like, they worked it out. But like, he's like, that like whole sex thing, he's like, it's always been an issue. That's why I stepped out of my marriage. He's
Hmm.
like, because like, he's like, I need some. He's like, I'm young. He's like, I want to have sex with my wife, but she doesn't want to. He's like,
So
I buy toys, I buy everything, and
so
she
she
doesn't want to.
she stopped having sex with him. So then he cheated.
So, like, the way that he explained it to me is that this has been an ongoing issue, like, before they both had affairs.
Who had the affair first?
If I'm not mistaken, it was him.
Ooh, low down. No,
Yeah.
what happens? But let me just remain in character.
So,
So and then she cheated, of course, or had an affair.
yeah, with like a
Damn.
coworker.
Maybe she lost her whole thrill in marriage after he broke her heart. Because I'm sure it was like something
And
wild
that's
and
what I
crazy.
told him. Yeah, that's what I told him. And he's like, no, he's like that. He's like, her not wanting to have sex. He's like, and everything. He's like, it happened even before. He was like, I don't know if like they would. I'm allowed to say this on a podcast. He tells me he's like I always make sure that her needs are met. He's like, of course, he's like, as a man, he's like, I want to make sure that she's she gets to her full potential. He's like, but he's like, we don't even get there. He says like when he goes downtown, if she no longer wants it, like she'll just push him off and tell him to like go clean his face and go to bed.
Damn, man.
I was like, dude, I'm like, I was like, I don't know. And I told him, I was like, I'm like, look, I was like, there's like many things that could be going through her head. I'm like, maybe she like has some trauma from her past and she just doesn't know how to communicate with you. Or I was like, maybe she just like fell off from being in love with you and she's just
Yeah.
not attracted to you. I was like, because that could happen if you're not in love with your partner, you're just not going to be attracted to them.
Yeah, they may have grown apart. I know being together for what? They were together for like
12
13
years.
years or something like that,
Yeah,
14
I think,
years,
yeah.
whatever, 12 years. I know it's very complex. It's not simple. Maybe he's not doing what he used to do and she needs more, or maybe the thrill is gone. I think they should, like, I'd have to talk to him too and see, but something's not right. And she's cold turkey. Like, I think maybe
Yeah.
she is cheating, but he cheated first. But it was before that. So maybe she just wanted to cheat, or she just did cheat and then he cheated and then she cheated again with a valuable reason. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, like that's my thing because he asked me, he's like, have you ever like gone through like any problems with your husband like that? And I'm like, honestly, I was like, I'll be straight up with you, dude. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like when I had my oldest, I had postpartum depression
Yeah.
and I just like we grew apart. We were good together as parents, just as husband and wife, we were kind of like, nah. I would go out and it's like he would be like, all right, bye, see ya. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'll be back. But no, it's like we moved like after we had our oldest, we moved to Kansas, and honestly, I was like, that's like the best thing that ever happened to us
Yeah.
because like I was, of course, away from home, and I had never moved away from home. So that was hard to deal with, but it saved my marriage, to be honest, because we were on the verge of getting divorced.
Mm.
Yeah, I was like, I know, like people see us, they're like, oh my God, you guys are so cute, and you guys have been together for so long. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, we have worked on it, and it's been hard work, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But yeah, ever since that we moved to Kansas, and that was back in 2017, and
Oh,
that's
y'all
like
just got there.
yeah, like so we had just gotten there, and we both like I sat him down and I told him like I'm like, you know what? I was like I don't want us like to end. I was like I would like for us to like date each other more, and
Yeah.
I mean not more, but it's like we were newly uh parents and everything, first time parents. It was hard, and yeah, I was like we always make sure we made priority like to have date nights and put us before being parents like sometimes
Yeah,
because
you have to.
that
Definitely have to.
does that does bring the marriage down.
Yeah, you have to.
And yeah, I was like it was great, and then of course like eventually later on my sex drive like died down completely, and it was just kind of like a twice a week kind of thing, and he was like, hey, like what's going on? I'm like, I don't know, man. I was like, I just don't feel like it.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's kind of weird because like you're always on the mood. And I'm like, I know, but I don't know. Eventually, that's when I found out I had a thyroid issue. And I'm like, okay, that explains.
Yeah.
And of course, like because yeah, I'm like, I made sure like I got taken care of. And of course, like we're good in that department too. So it's like, there's no problem there. It's just the military keeping us apart right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Military's rough.
Yeah, it's almost over for us, thank God. But yeah, like that's what like I told my friend. I was like, I don't know, dude. I was like, because I was like, when you love your partner, you learn their love language, of course, and especially for being married for so long, you do have to find new things.
Yeah. So you do.
So it's like, hey, like let's try this, let's try that, and you'll know if you don't like it or if you like it, you know? And that's what I told him. I was like, hey, I'm like, you guys could go to therapy. But unfortunately they're both Hispanic, and they don't believe in that.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's tough. It's tough. People get shut down with me when I tell them what I went to school for. But I was like, yeah, I was like that's really weird. Like for not wanting to be with your spouse.
Yeah, it is. I know every relationship, it goes through hurdles, trials, tribulation, valleys, whatever it may be, and whatever that consists of. And I think sometimes you have to take a step back, like you were saying, start dating again, having more date nights, like restart the whole thing where y'all are rekindling the flame and things of that nature. I wonder, have they tried that? Like, I'm sure you give them advice, like, hey, why don't y'all go on date nights, or why don't y'all use toys in your
I did tell
bedroom?
him.
Swing, the swing. You said what?
I told him, I was like, have you guys like do you go on dates? He's like, oh, he's like, yeah. He's like, but they have their kids in sports, and sometimes like those sports take like on the weekends because they have competitions and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And I told him, I was like, look, dude, I'm gonna be straight up with you. I'm like, as someone that grew up with parents that I never saw affection between them,
yeah,
it made me like tell my parents, I think I was like probably like 12, 13. And I told them, I was like, you guys need to get a divorce. I'm like, we would be a lot happier like that.
yeah,
And I love my parents, don't get me wrong, but the way that I saw their marriage, it was like I don't want to be with a partner that like doesn't love me.
yeah. I wouldn't want to either.
So, and my dad is like not affectionate at all whatsoever. With my kids, he is, don't get me wrong, but he was never of like hugging or stuff like that. So it
Hmm.
was, and for me, like me, I hate being touched anyways. But then at the same time, like my love language is physical touch.
So you hate being touched by your love language. How does that work?
He asked my husband, like I don't like people touching me. Like even with the kids, like they're on top of it, and I'm like, oh my God, I was like, guy, like we spend like many, many, many months together.
Yeah,
I'm like personal space. But I have to be okay with people coming near me because I don't like to be touched.
yeah. That's interesting.
But
I mean, if it works and your husband found a way to, I guess, fulfill that need, your love language, then kudos to hubby. What's up, hubby? I haven't talked to him in a while, actually.
yeah,
So
See, like he's pretty good at reading me. Like he knows when I'm about to lose
yeah,
my
he's
shit.
definitely a smart man, definitely intelligent man. We hung out, talked
Patient,
a couple times.
patient. He's really patient.
Yeah, he definitely is. For the couple, what are they on the verge of? Are they going to, of course, they don't do counseling or therapy. Are they going to try to stick it out for the kids? Or are they going to try to what?
So that's what I asked him, and I told him I was like, "Look, I was like, dude, you need to tell your wife straight up, be and tell her like this is what you're looking for, like with her, because at this point, like the way, of course, there's two sides of the story, well, three,
Yeah,
his, hers, and the truth.
yeah,
But I did tell him like you have to tell her straight up, be like, I'm trying to do it with you and only you, and you're not meeting me halfway.
yeah.
But she does tell him, he's like, oh, that's all you think about, like having like sex, and she makes like a big deal out of it. And I know it sounds mean, but it's like he is pretty much like crying to her that he wants that intimacy with her.
Vital. It's definitely vital in a marriage. I mean, we're humans and we have needs.
Yeah, and that's what I told him. I was like, look, I was like, you have to tell her. And he's like, I've have, but he's like, at this point, I have just made my peace with the fact that I am not gonna get my needs met in that department.
Does she want him to do something more on the catalyst end, like be more lovey-dovey without being sexual or intimate like that? I guess you can be intimate either way, but be more lovey-dovey or take me on more dates or buy me things. Is there something that he can do on the other end?
See, like the way that I know him, he does spoil her.
Yeah.
He is really romantic. He's really romantic with her. So that's where I'm like, okay, like girl, like what is the problem?
Yeah. I think she may be at this point. I mean, them both cheating as well, but she was out of it before he cheated. I think she may be waiting for him maybe to fall, or does she not want a divorce? Or she may say she doesn't want a divorce. It seemed like it, but I don't know where this is going. This is actually interesting. I like this.
Yeah, I told him I was like, you need to find your own happiness, and she needs to have her own happiness. It's I don't know if it's like a cultural thing or it's just them ignoring the fact that they have a problem.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's when like I had to like ask him like I wonder like what is the problem? Because for example, like in Mexico in March, you get yellow flowers, right? And that's a way of them of your partner telling you that he wants to spend the rest of their life with you, that you're the love of their life. So like he got her like the yellow roses, and also like their daughter because he wants to make sure like his daughter has that expectation.
yeah.
And she was like, okay, thanks.
Hmm.
Yeah, see, me being like, of course, like Mexican and being married to someone that is completely like out of my culture,
Yeah,
he got me yellow roses.
yeah,
And I was like dying inside. I was like, oh my God, I was like, he got me yellow roses. And I was bragging about it to everyone because I'm like, you know what? I was like, my husband is white. I was like, and he still knew
yeah.
that means a lot to me. So I don't know, I was like, at this point, I told him, I was like, maybe she just doesn't love you anymore. I'm like, maybe she's just not in love with you anymore, and she's just waiting for you to screw up. That way she has a valid reason to leave you.
I mean, my dog is so crazy. Trying to go to Crate. He
Oh,
kind
she's
of
so
did.
sweet.
Yeah, she's trying to get in the podcast. Go to
Let
Crate.
her be.
You don't make me act up on. But I don't know what her angle is. I don't see an angle. Maybe it's postpartum, and she doesn't do therapy, so they don't really have any advantages. It's all disadvantages.
Yeah, and he asked me, he's like, because I told him, I was like, if you like, I'm like, I'd be more than happy to like befriend her
Yeah,
and maybe like I was like, obviously, like on a non-biased way,
yeah.
help her out. And he's like, nah, dude. He's like, she might not like you. I'm like, oh, okay.
Does she have friends?
But I'm sorry.
Does she have friends?
She does, and he says that he encourages her to go out with
Yeah,
her girlfriends. He's like, the only reason why I do that is because I know if she comes home drunk, he's like, I'm gonna get lucky.
that's
And I'm
man.
like, damn. I'm like, that sucked, bro. I was like, oh, okay.
Hey, I mean, can't get too in depth.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah, I don't think I could keep myself in that. I mean, if I love my wife enough, it'd be agonizing. I don't know. I actually don't know what I would do. I do. That's a hard one.
Yeah,
That's definitely a hard one.
it is, because I mean, me personally, I couldn't be with someone that's like this that does not want to be intimate,
Yeah.
like at all.
Yeah.
And it's funny though, because like a guy broke up with me when I was like in my teens. He broke up with me because he told me he's like, that's all you think about. And I'm like, no. I'm like, we went to the park and to the movies. I was romantic, you know?
Yeah. Definitely.
But it's yeah, and it's funny, it's like it's a problem when like women don't want to have sex, and then it's a problem when women want to have too much sex.
Yeah.
So like I told
It is her body, her choice. So all the little people in this new era can shut up and calm down. It is her body, her choice. I
yeah,
get it. But we're trying to divulge where this all stemmed from. And I don't know. I think over time, I'd probably divorce my wife over time. I don't know
I,
what time. Can be 2 weeks, could be 6 months, could be 2 years. But over time, I definitely would. And that's my piece on that.
I don't blame you because I would do the same thing.
You
And
think he
like
would get on the podcast?
you know what? I would ask
Anonymously.
him, but I was like, I don't know. I was like, he'll be okay. He's probably gonna kill me when like if he listens to this one.
I don't think unless you send it to him. But if he does find it, I'd be happy to. I'm like, it's out there like that. But yeah, he can be on here anonymously. You don't have to use his name or anything like that if he would like to. I would love to have him on there and say his piece, and I'd be like, bro, okay, wow,
Yeah, yeah. So it's hard because like I did ask him, was like, okay, like when you had, I was like, how many times have you like actually stepped out of your marriage?
yeah,
And like he said like sexually once, and the second time like he met this girl, but and he was like, yeah, I guess like I was so excited because like she's and I know the girl,
yeah, yeah,
but the way that she told me that when they were intimate, I guess she's like, I didn't like it, and I'm like, oh. I'm like, maybe that's his wife's problem, you know? I'm like, maybe he's just yeah, but then I'm just like, oh, you know, it's like if he and I'm so sorry to all the guys that are gonna like hear this, but if he sucks in bed, as his wife, she should be like, you know what, dude, like you suck. Like
yeah.
let's
Spice
figure
it up.
something out that yeah.
The swing. I keep going back to the swing. Spice it up, like something, like ropes, ties, blindfolds, stuff like that.
Yeah, well, according to him, he does all that. Yeah.
Maybe
So
it's
I'm just
just the motion of the
like
ocean.
maybe yeah, I was like, see, I'm really nosy, babes. I'm so sorry if you hear this, but I did ask like the girl that he had like an affair with. If I was like, hey, like, well, like, does it suck or?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, like he's average. Like she's like it's just good, but it's just that he just doesn't know how to be rough
She
with it.
wants the choke. Let me calm down. She wants to choke in, pulling hair.
Yeah, so like, and after I was like, okay, I was like, okay, so like, how was it? She's like, dude, she's like, it was like if we were in a relationship and he was making love to me. She's like, and I don't like that. I'm like, oh, I was like, okay. I was like, well, I was like, maybe that's his wife's problem. Like I mean, there's nothing wrong with being romantic,
Yeah, you got to spice it
but
up and then like y'all don't know each.
yeah, I gave him plenty of ideas. Like,
Yeah,
I was like, you could do like we do not know each other and meet at the bar, and
yeah,
then
I
you
would
guys
love.
could go
Ooh,
to Vegas.
yeah,
I was like, it's El Paso, and I'm pretty sure, like, to all your military friends that have actually been stationed here, they know that some women and even some men are willing to participate in certain activities.
yes, definitely.
So I was like, I gave as much ideas as I could. I told him I was like, I don't know why you're holding on to uh like a relationship that is no longer a relationship. It's more of a roommate situation with them.
Yeah, I think at that moment he's probably thinking about the kids because majority of people want to keep their family together, so the kids have both parents, but that's a sticky situation. Like for the kids, I don't think kids can keep a marriage together, even though a lot of people try, and kudos to them. But at the same time, they pick up those small innuendos and mannerisms that dad's unhappy or mom's unhappy. So it may actually be a toxic environment for them at the same time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like just like I said, I was like and I grew up with that and like one thing I do appreciate from my parents as a couple is that my mom will fight someone if they're rude to my dad or anything, you know?
Yes.
And of course like my mom in the first 6 years, 7 years of my life, she was a stay-at-home mom. And of course when my grandpa passed away, my dad helped out financially. to like for the funeral and stuff like that. So there's good and bad things that I took out of their marriage.
Yeah.
And I told that to my friend, and I'm like, I grew up with seeing my parents as once in a while, like being a team, but majority of the time I saw that they didn't love each other as husband and wife.
Mm.
And that is like it is hard because it does make you have trust issues eventually. Like for myself, like I had a lot of trust issues growing up with like relationships until of course like I met Frankie because I remember our first fight that we had. We were fighting and so I was just like grabbing my stuff so I could leave because we were living together at that point. And he looks at me, he's like, "Where are you going?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "We're fighting." I'm like, I'm leaving. And he's like, "Okay." He's like, "And we'll talk it out. And tomorrow morning we just go get breakfast together and laugh of how you're being a psycho right now."
Yeah. Psycho. Got it.
And I'm like, I was like, okay, first of all, you call me a psycho. Second
Oh,
of all,
no psycho.
I was like, yeah. No, at this point, I just laughed. So I'm
Never
like,
call a woman
oh,
crazy or a psycho. Got it.
yeah, don't no, don't ever do it. But he told me, he's like, no, he's like, we talk it out. He's like, we gotta calm down. He's like, and then we're gonna sit down and then we're gonna talk about this. And then like you are gonna tell me what I need to work on, and then I'll tell you what you need to work on. He's like, because we're
Yeah.
not perfect. So I was like, oh, okay. He's like, have you never done this? And I'm like, no. I would just break up with people and be like, okay, bye. I
Yeah.
feel like
That is a huge thing. I know. I didn't think it was that big until I got older, like dating with, two-parent household. I didn't know the effects of it either. I never looked into that. I just saw a pretty woman at that time. I was like, okay, she seemed cool, chill, whatever it may be. But I know it does have major effects. But you have a good partner that's willing to sit down, like, hey, babe, this is how we're going to work it out. This is what we want to do. And you're willing to listen too. So that's huge on your part. So kudos to both of y'all. Rare from what I've been told. It's really rare. And I wonder
yeah.
what that gentleman is going to do, your friend. I wonder where did he tell you like his angle, or he's just, because you said he's just done. Did he say like divorce or
He
open
plans on
marriage?
staying. No, he plans on staying with his wife, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
He's like, and I told him, he was like, you do realize, like, I mean, you have a daughter, because, like, I tell him, I was like, I'm seeing it as your daughter point of view,
Yes.
is just that she's gonna see, like, oh, this is normal. And your son is gonna judge women also based on that.
Oh yeah, because I
And
see
he's gonna be
things.
like, oh, like, this is normal. Oh, like, that's okay. And I told him, I was like, my recommendation is like either you talk to her, sit down and actually have like a real blood conversation, or you need to go find a lawyer so you can start your divorce.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Because you're gonna end up being in like in your 50s, 60s, and your kids are gonna move away, and all you're gonna end up with is having a roommate. Like you're not gonna have a wife. You're just gonna have like the person that you raise the kids with.
Yeah, honestly, again, I don't think I could do it, but not in a situation. So I give him kudos again for staying and fighting for his wife. I'm all about marriage. That's tough. Yeah, you should try to get him on. We can try to do a part two. I don't know if he would want you on, but it'd be dope if he could.
I know he's probably gonna kill me when he listens to this, but
What's up, bro?
I don't know. I guess like the older that I've gotten,
Uh,
and of course like me and Frankie was again, we got married pretty young.
yeah.
So like we grew up together because life in the military is gonna throw you like things
Oh, definitely, definitely,
just
definitely, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
so it's something that you really have to work with. And for me personally, being with like my husband is like I cannot see my life without him because like I do not feel I've told him I was like, oh no, but I was like, we're gonna get mad. And that's fine. I was like, but I am not gonna restart all over and pretend that I'm perfect
Yeah,
and that I don't lose my shit. I was like, no. I'm like, and he's the same way. It's like we're I like he truly is my best friend. And sometimes I forget that he is my husband because I'll call him up and I'll just like start like vomiting words to him about things.
yeah,
And he just sits there and he's like, babe. And I'm like, oh, I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, I went a little bit too honest on things. But he's like, no, he's like, it's okay. But he tells me, he's like, it's good that you forget something that I'm your husband and you have that that trust like in him to like tell him things.
Yes, definitely. But best friends, that's how it should be. Friends, best friends, lovers, soulmates. Yeah, we'll have to.
Yes,
I'm have to get him on the next podcast if he's. I don't know if he can. I'm sure he could. If I send him the link, he could tune in.
he should be. Yeah, like right now it's well, he is 8 hours ahead of me.
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, I was like, he did say he wanted to do a podcast with you. He's like, yeah, it's like I talked to Julian, and I'm like, oh, so you guys talking now? I'm like, I see how it is.
Yeah. That's my friend. Yeah, I talked to him briefly. He's killing it in the gym. Looks great. Yeah, I definitely would
He
like to
is.
have him, and then I mean all males would be dope. But see if you can get your colleague or your friend on this next podcast. We do a part 2.
You know, because he has heard it from other people, like what he needs to do, but
Yeah.
he's really like stuck in his ways. And at the same time, I think it's also based on how his mom was.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, man. Like honestly, like don't get me wrong, I am proud to be Mexican, but there's like a lot of things that in our culture that I completely hate. And it sucks because like a lot of my friends they still believe in it.
Yeah.
And that's how it's a battle. It's a battle. But yeah, I just tell him I was like, there's no way your wife doesn't want to have sex with you, because that's just weird.
Yeah. There's
And
some.
like you said before, people come attack us. Of course, your body,
Yeah.
your choice.
Yeah. For people, there's some grandiose scheme, but yeah, we'll try to get him on. And is there anything you would like to say to anybody listening before we close it out?
So I don't know. I just say like always date your partner. Do
Yeah.
not forget that your kids eventually are gonna move out, and you don't want to stay with a roommate. You actually want to stay with your husband or your wife, or whatever floats your boat.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely communication is key, and make sure that you are always having that honest communication and being open-minded to listen to your partner. It's not that they're doing it to hurt you, it's they're doing it because they want to stay with you and make sure that you reach your full potential that they know you have.
Thank you. And hopefully somebody's listening that can take heed to what you said. It's very in depth and very vital. Again, those who are listening, thank you again. Thank you for supporting and share this podcast. Check out my new Instagram. And that's Enlighten Me. We're signing off. God bless.